There's a lot of information coming out of South America very recently, and it doesn't seem like the mainstream media cares to cover much of it. So here at the Florida Maquis, we're going to try to keep you up to date. Now, the big story of the day is the earthquakes. Um, Colombia 3 days ago had a very large one. We've talked about the continual problem going on in the northern part of this country that has caused them to completely abandon a huge hydroelectric dam project because one of the mountains near it and shored right up against it is in a state of continual motion. It's a frightening thing. It's not an easy thing to find here on the map if you're just looking for it. If you can find Medellin, Colombia, right here, what you'll see is this large valley rift right above it. If you just follow that rift around to the top, what you'll start to see, if you zoom in at the very top, is you'll see this word Ituango pop up. And then you'll see this river, this Cauca River. And if you follow it, it'll make this 90-degree bend right here. This is where the dam is. That's the easiest way to find this location right here. So this mountain right here that they've been digging into, continual state of motion. So dangerous that they won't even allow the workers to attempt to do any repairs or salvage operations because the earthquakes are making it so dangerous. So that's where that is. But also, this is Colombia. Today we had, let's see, this is the one from Colombia. This is Telesur. You can find this. The Dominican Republic had a big earthquake today, up to 5.1 on the Richter scale. No reports of damage or death yet, but strangely enough, when I went to the earthquake map, there were also two others today, both in Chile. One about 9 hours ago in a place called San Antonio, Valparaiso, Chile. That was 4.4. And then, let's see, this one is Calama, Antofagasta, Chile, and it was 4.5. This one was 17 kilometers depth, and this was 106 kilometers depth. So when you add this, and then you add this, and then you add Colombia, and then you see the Dominican, it starts to almost show a line. I wonder where the next one might be. You know, if you have here, and here, and here, who knows? You know, who knows? It's a strange thing, but, you know, these two down here in Chile aren't being reported. But there was another one, I guess, 4 hours ago that isn't even located here on the map. I'm trying to, let's see if I can zoom in, if it'll show up. It says 4 hours ago, San Antonio, Valparaiso, Chile, 4.3. So it looks like Chile's having some problems with earthquakes themselves. Some of the largest earthquakes that have ever occurred in the history of earthquakes occurred down here. One that was so big some years ago that the amount of material that collapsed in toward itself actually changed the rotation of the Earth. It's called the conservation of angular momentum, that when you bring mass closer into a spinning body, the spinning body speeds up. And speaking of spinning bodies, did not mean to get here, but I thought, hey, what the heck, why not? I have been remiss. There has been a contributor that has come to the channel who has brought an incredible amount of common damn sense from Texas, and he said something yesterday that I thought would be a great place to start to reveal a huge secret from the movies. And let me read the comments so I can let you know what we're talking about. He says, Hexagon Earth, wow, guess I don't need to adjust for the Coriolis effect anymore when I shoot long distance. Damn, I didn't even think about this until he said this. And so I want to say thank you again to Johnny Buckcrust from Texas. Common sense, talking about snipers that have to use this thing called the Coriolis effect. And what it means is that because we're on a spinning ball Earth, snipers, all of them, all around the world, no matter where you're from, the U.S., have to adjust for this fall. As the bullet spins and falls toward the Earth, it'll deflect one way or the other based on whether you're in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere. And let me just bring this up here. This is what it's described as. There is no Coriolis effect right at the equator, but objects in the northern hemisphere, including air mass, deflect to the right, and those in the southern hemisphere deflect to the left. Now, it got me thinking. It really did. It got me thinking about, well, gosh, if nobody adjusted for the Coriolis effect, snipers, no snipers would ever hit their targets. But they do adjust for the Coriolis effect, and they do hit their targets. Therefore, we are on a spinning ball. Now, the big reveal from the movies. Now, everyone knows that stormtroopers can't hit the broadside of a barn. Ever. Especially in The Empire Strikes Back, or was it New Hope? I'm trying to remember where they had the Death Star, where they destroyed the Death Star. Yeah, that was a New Hope. First one. I think what happened is that the stormtroopers had been doing all of their blaster training on planets that had the Coriolis effect. And what would happen is if you put them on a non-spinning Death Star, there would be no Coriolis effect. And that's why they were missing, because they kept adjusting for the Coriolis effect that didn't exist. It was just probably part of their training. And had they been on a flat plane, they would have known. You see, this is where the flat earthers actually helped us out. They actually helped us figure out that that's why the stormtroopers could never hit anything, because they kept adjusting for Coriolis when there was no Coriolis effect present on the Death Star. So I guess we need to thank Johnny Buttcrust and the flat earthers. So strangely enough, just to answer a couple of questions that people have had about this, they say that there's no evidence of curvature on bodies of water. I beg to differ. This is one of them. And if anybody's saying, well, that's a moving body of water, well, we can always go here. And if anybody, fifth graders do this all the time, where you fill the glass up to the very edge and it just keeps going and going because of surface tension. And if you do this just right, you can balance a paperclip and you can see all sorts of curvature on static, flat bodies of water. They are all over the place. And let's see, here's a more common one. Let's see if I can bring it up. Computer's not really helping me out today. But if you ever look at water droplets on, well, this is a spider web. There we go. I'll just do it this way. See if I can zoom in and get a better shot of that. There we go. There's some curvature for you. Happens all the time. Happens all the time. When you add in the Coriolis effect, it's pretty clear, guys, that a lot of the assertions that you make about what you believe to be the case about where we live are just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And everybody with a thinking brain knows it. So, anyway, add that to the fact that the sun allegedly moves through our atmosphere at Mach 1.5 with no leading edge, no trailing edge, no evidence of convection, no effect on boiling off the clouds, which you would think would be the case. I think we can probably see that there is definitely quite a few holes to the people who purport this CIA PSYOP that's been going on. And if you don't think it's a CIA PSYOP that's been going on, I would like to turn you to one place as we leave the video here. And let's see if I can get my computer to, there we go. I want you guys to just be honest with yourselves about this thing. I brought this up because I want you to do your homework. YouTube was launched February 14th, 2005. Now, on any search, whether it's Google or whether it's Bing, you can have it. There's a tools bar right here that says anytime. What I want you to do is I want you to click this anytime. And of course it won't do it for me at the moment, but what you can do is you can set a custom date range for your search. And I want you to search flat earth. Here we go. Custom date range. I want you to find any real evidence of anyone looking into flat earth prior to the year 2000. It doesn't exist. And my computer's just being a pain in the ass. And speaking of that, we'll leave it there, but I will let you do that for yourself. I think you'll find that it didn't really come into the consciousness, at least here in America, until after YouTube was created. So apparently there's this giant dark ages of flat earth research between when the church finally relented 500 years ago and all the way up until the year 2000, 2004 or 5, when YouTube became prevalent. So anyway, this page is locked up on me, but we will leave that there. But thank you so much. Also, as we leave, because of the massive, wonderful response that we have gotten to the channel around the beginning of July, things are going to change markedly. They are going to get a lot better. I'm going to be able to invest some money in some proper equipment, and while we're still going to maintain a Maquis level of attitude toward our research, we are going to make the experience for you guys a lot better and just have you to thank for that. The response and the support has been humbling, especially on Patreon. We are going to start a whole new vein of psychological operations training this week. Would love to have you there. Anyway, Florida Maquis, Patreon, MAQUIS. So like, share, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thank you.